This is the toughest interview in the world. Yet when the candidates received their exam papers, they froze in shock, for the papers were nothing but blank sheets of paper, though all the candidates were deeply puzzled. Not a single one dared to speak. Before the exam began, the examiner had announced 3 rules. First, no talking to the examiner or security personnel. Second, no leaving the room without permission. Third, no soiling or damaging the exam papers. Violating any one rule meant immediate disqualification and forfeit a 5 million yuan a year position. There was only one consequence. Seeing no one speak, the examiner started an 80-minute countdown and left the room without looking back. Staring at the blank paper, they felt utterly lost, clueless about what the exam even entailed. Securing this high-paying job seemed far from easy, yet as the clock ticked away, one woman suddenly couldn't stand it. She reasoned that the boss had given them blank paper, perhaps to write a career report. Without another word, she picked up a pen and began writing, but the moment she wrote her name, the security guard strode straight toward her. Without a word, he pushed her out of the exam room. It turned out she had violated the rule against soiling the paper. Seeing the woman eliminated, everyone else put down their pens and dared not write anything on their papers again. Just as everyone was agonizing over the question, a man suddenly realized something. He recalled the examiner had only stated 3 rules. This meant as long as they didn't violate those 3, they'd be fine. So he sat up from his seat and began casually doing boxing moves. Seeing the security guard nearby show no reaction, he boldly started greeting others around him. The rules only forbade talking to examiners and security. They never said you couldn't speak to fellow test takers. Seeing the man's actions were permitted, the crowd finally dared to open their mouths. They began discussing why the exam papers were blank. Suddenly, the long-haired girl stood up. She guessed the test papers were made of some chemical substance. Perhaps they'd reveal writing under certain light. Everyone agreed this made perfect sense, so they held the papers close to the light. But after testing, the papers showed no change. Then Jack suddenly thought, perhaps only special light could reveal the text, like ultraviolet or infrared light. But where would such lights be in this room? Just then, the blonde girl noticed emergency lights embedded in the walls. To test their hunch, they immediately smashed the wall lights. Sure enough, a blue light instantly illuminated the room. They thought they'd finally see the questions. Yet after testing, the papers remained unchanged. The bearded man suggested they might have chosen the wrong color. Other lights still hung in the room. Then the girl with the piercing eyes noticed one fluorescent tube on the wall remained unlit. They realized this must be the light they sought. They smashed the wall's emergency lights instead. The next second, a red light filled the room. Sadly, after testing it, the blank exam paper remained empty. Seeing only 60 minutes left on the exam clock, the group grew increasingly anxious. Mike then suggested the paper might be made of special material. He picked up the eliminated woman's exam paper and started scribbling randomly on it. But even that didn't change the paper at all. With no other options, Mike tore the paper in half. He gave one piece to Jack to test with saliva, and used his own urine on the other. In the end, the entire sheet was ruined. They hadn't even found the questions yet. Just then, they noticed the bespectacled man hadn't stood up since leaving the exam room. They slowly approached him, but the bespectacled man uttered a strange remark. The others remained oblivious. The bespectacled man had revealed the exam paper's secret, but none grasped his meaning. As time ticked away, Mike could endure no longer. He believed the company was playing a cruel joke, luring them here solely to watch their humiliation on surveillance. Yet the bespectacled girl immediately countered, having researched the company before her interview, and they absolutely wouldn't do something so pointless. Hearing this, the others perked up. Since none of their methods could make the test papers appear, they speculated that the secret to the blank papers must be hidden on the security guard at the door. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, the long-haired girl reached straight for the security guard. Sure enough, he had a lighter in his pocket. Spotting a smoke detector in the room, they moved a table to aim the flame at the sensor, but the faint smoke failed to trigger the alarm. Seeing this, Mike quickly grabbed an exam paper and had the long-haired girl set it ablaze. Sure enough, this tactic worked. Yet to their shock, it still didn't reveal the exam paper. Just as despair settled over them, the security guard suddenly walked in. Without a word, he dragged the long-haired girl out of the exam hall. It turned out Mike had taken her exam paper, and that's when ugly human nature began to surface. Just like that, the long-haired girl was eliminated. Mike's actions sparked public outrage. They thought Mike was a selfish person. Jack, seeing this, immediately wanted to punch him, but he accidentally triggered the room's voice-activated system. The next second, the lights suddenly came on. To get more people out of the exam room, Mike tricked the guy with glasses into tearing up his exam paper. This led to the guy with glasses being dragged away by security. Mike believed that by reducing the number of people, the remaining ones would have a better chance of winning. At this point, Jack couldn't stand him anymore. He charged straight over and beat him up. But even then, Jack still wasn't satisfied. He prepared to push Mike toward the exit to eliminate him. But the blonde girl stopped him. Before the exam, the proctor had stated, only those voluntarily abandoning the test could leave. Then the bearded man suspected the girl with glasses of being a spy. How else could she know so much? To verify his suspicion, he tied her to a chair, demanding she reveal the truth. But the girl insisted she was innocent, claiming no knowledge of how to reveal the exam questions. Seeing her refusal to confess, the bearded man snatched her exam paper and slashed her thigh with it. With only minutes left before the exam ended, the bearded man had no choice but to gouge out the girl's eyes, and then aimed the exam paper directly at her eye sockets.